using factor theorem, we can deduce whether certain, like for example, if x minus 2 is a factor of this, using factor theorem, we can identify if these are factors. So to do this, we let this polynomial be a function. I'd like to define it as a function. So let f of x be equal to x cubed plus 3x squared minus 13x plus 6. Okay. And using the factor theorem, since we have to assume that it's a factor first. And if it's not a factor, then it'll contradict, and then we can deduce saying, okay, well, this isn't a factor. So we assume it's a factor and say, okay, therefore, okay, we look at the sign. We look at the sign of this number, -2. All right, the sign is negative, and you just flip the sign so it becomes positive. So f of 2 should equal 0. Okay, so f of 2 just means I substitute x in this function with 2. So 0 equals 2 cubed plus 3 times 2 squared minus 13 times 2 plus 6. Okay, we'll just simplify everything. So 2 cubed is 8, plus 3 times 2 squared, so 3 times 4 is 12, minus 26, minus 13 times 2, so minus 26, plus 6. Okay, now we just collect like terms. So 8 plus 12 is 20, 20 plus 6 is 26, minus 26 is 0. Since it equals 0, therefore x minus 2 is a factor because it equals 0. Alright, moving on to the next one. For b, so same thing. We define the function. So let f of x equal x cubed minus 8x plus 7. And we look at the sign of this, and it's positive 3. Flip the sign so it becomes -3, and input that into the function. And that should equal 0, because we're assuming that it's a factor, and if it's not a factor, we can see that it's not equal to 0, and then we can say, oh, it is not a factor. So we substitute -3 into every time we see an x. So -3 cubed minus 8 times -3 plus 7. Okay, -3 cubed is -27, minus 8 times -3, so minus 24, so plus 24 plus 7. I can already see this does not equal 0, so I'm just going to say it does not equal 0. Therefore, x plus 3 is not a factor. It's not a factor. That should be the answers, and that should give you full marks. So this is the factor theorem. Using the factor theorem, we're going to find the value of the unknown variable c in this polynomial. Okay, so let's just look at what's given. So we're given that this is a definite factor of this polynomial or this function. So first we begin by defining this function. So let f of x equal x cubed plus 7x squared plus cx minus 12, right? And according to factor theorem, you first look at this sign, and you change the sign of this number, so -2, okay? And then you use that as the input in your next function. Instead of it's f -2, then f of -2. And since this is a factor, this means that it should equal 0, meaning that there are 0 remainders because it's a complete factor. So f of negative 2 just means whenever there's an x in the equation, I'm replacing that x with negative 2. So 0 equals negative 2 cubed plus 7 times negative 2 squared plus c negative 2 minus 12. Okay, 0 equals negative 8, because negative 2 cubed is 8, or negative 8, plus 7 times, okay, negative 2 squared is 4, times 7 is 28, and then plus c times negative 2, so that's negative 2c, so it becomes minus 2c minus 12. All right, collect like terms, we get, okay, negative 8 plus 28, that's just 20, minus 12 is 8, so 8 minus 2c is equal to 0. Add 2c to both sides, so we get 2c is equal to 8, and then divide both sides by 2, c is equal to 4. And using the factor theorem, this is how we find unknown variables in a polynomial.